everybody. It's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. We got a great guest for you today here, but first off, I want to tell you about Arby's here in the Arby's studio. Don't forget about their new meat and 3 box. You get more meal for your money at Arby's. We have the meats, and we've got a great guest. Kon Knueppel is coming on to talk about NBA, the Hornets basketball. This guy is a shooting guard, small forward for the Charlotte Hornets. He was 4th overall pick in 2025. Had a great season. Shot a ton of three-pointers. We're going to talk about that. Almost, we got into the play-in. I'd say we made the playoffs. We didn't get to the first round, but we got close. We are close, man. We won a lot of games this year as the Charlotte Hornets. We're knocking on the door. But and he's a big part of that. I've been wanting to get him on the show, and I think some of our some of the things we've said in this room at this table have helped. So I'm excited about it. I've got a lot of cards here that I'm trying to gain the courage to ask him to sign after the show's over with. And so I've got some from a little buddy of mine down the street. So anyways, we're going to have some fun, sign some cards. We're going to talk basketball. Let's bring Kon into the room and get started. First off, I've grown up here. Grew up a Charlotte Hornet fan. They moved away. They become the Bobcats. We're back to, we're kind of back to square one. It's been a long journey with a lot of ups and downs. We had Michael as an owner for a long time, which was badass. I mean, that dude's North Carolina. He's now in in NASCAR doing good things. But you are now a Charlotte Hornet, and you had an incredible rookie year. I've kind of always followed the team and went to a handful of games here and there every season. But it's kind of, it's been tough, and we haven't had a ton of success.
Yeah.
This year, insanely different. And I know you'll say that, still a long ways to go, and a lot of things to improve on, but just in general, as a fan that's lived around here, this was a blast. This season was incredible. You were a big reason for that. A lot of things kind of happened in the last year that's brought you to this table. Outside of what's been going on in your own life, but I became a fan of yours over this past year, watching you and the team and hearing all these great things about your work ethic, your personality, and how hard you try to, you were credited as I'm sure you'll tell us, there's a lot of reasons why the culture improved over the course of this past season, but you were a part of that. You were a cog in the wheel, and the reason for that change. And you could see it. You could see it in the locker room after games. You could see it, the camaraderie and happiness and joy among teammates, all those things that we'll talk about later. But I also got back into collecting cards.
Okay.
And I used to collect cards in the late 90s or the early 90s, late 80s, back in the junk wax era, and got out of it. But after the pandemic, everybody's kind of jumped back into this, and it's blown up. It's really exploded. I'm sure you've recognized some of the hype around it.
It's been huge.
Right. Well, I got back into that, right? And I would say that you were a big reason for that. Like the hype around your cards and excitement around you as a player, being from, a team that I love or a team that I want to pull for, that motivated me to get more back into the hobby. And that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
So when were running for the Rookie of the Year, dude, everybody around this area was pulling for you massively. And we reached out trying to figure out how to get you on the show. And I know now that season's over and you got some, got a little more free time on your hands. Here we are. So thank you. I just need to get all of that out of the way. So the season ends. What does that look like for you? You've had, you've got your first. I remember when I went into my first season in the Cup Series in NASCAR, I was really blown away by how grueling it was. How I thought I knew what racing for a season, racing during a year was like, but I bet that you learned quite a few things about mental toughness, health, and just how your body needs to be in a certain shape to be able to go through the course of the season. What was the end of the year like trying to get it to the finish line? I know you guys wanted to go further into the playoffs, but where are you at now mentally and physically?
I'm in a pretty good spot. I think be like a rookie season is just one of those things. Like you got to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know. Like you kind of think. You think 82 games is a lot. Like I played 39 at Duke.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how many that really is. It's like that first 3 games of the season, we had a game, day off, and then a back-to-back. And it's like, okay, now we'll rest for like 3 days. It's like, nope, you have like maybe 1 or 2 days off, and then you're playing again.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps going, coming at you. So I think you really just got to get through that first year, especially with all the draft prep you got to do, and you don't really have much of an off season between college and then draft, combine, and then summer league. Basically, like you're playing for a whole 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And so it was important that after the season was over this year, we got 3 weeks where we could go wherever we wanted. I just went home, didn't touch a ball, just try to get away from it for a little bit. It's been a really long stretch, but now that I'm back in town, we got a bunch of guys in from the team working out and getting ready to go for next season.
Yeah, just like that.
Yep.
So home, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You grew up around a family of basketball players, your brothers, your dad, your mom, everywhere you went. I mean, you had a basketball court in the house somewhere.
Yeah, we have
like a mini.
Yeah, mini hoop, full court mini hoop in the playroom.
Nice.
There was a clip of my brother trying to dunk on LaMelo in the playroom. But yeah, that's where a lot of battles. Actually, the first day when I got back, we played 2-on-2 in there and just like absolute barn ball tackling.
Oh my.
My dad was a little bit worried about people getting thrown through a window or something, but that was a spot where we played a lot growing up.
What was the imagine I could probably relate to growing up around a sport like that and wanting to seeing your parents succeed and wanting to falling in love with it with ease. Is that really how it went? I mean, you from the day you remember you wanted to play ball for a living, or
well, I didn't really like it at first. My parents were kind of worried. I guess you could say they told people like, yeah, he just doesn't like basketball.
Yeah. And
so I didn't really get into it till like 2nd or 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. And it really started from like video games, playing NBA 2K, NBA Jam, and then obviously my parents or my dad was playing all the time. He still plays, so I would go to the gym and be in the gym.
Still plays.
Yeah, he still plays, still kicking it. And then just reading, I got obsessed with like the history of the game. Just like, you're playing 2K and then you're playing with like David Robinson, Tim Duncan or something like that. And I got obsessed with those players, and that's really how I got into it. And then, from there, my parents were pumped and had me in the gym all the time.
How old are your brothers?
Junior, sophomore, freshman, and 8th grade.
Younger?
Yeah.
All of them?
All of them younger.
Are they good?
Yes.
Going to be good players?
Yeah. The next oldest is really, really good. Got a bunch of schools recruiting him.
Really?
Yeah, the 3 of them are on the high school team together. So we're now 3-time defending state champs in Wisconsin. So, they're really good players, really smart.
I imagine your dad. I know you. Your mom's brother was a big player for Milwaukee. Played for the Bucks.
Yeah, he played for like half a season with the Bucks. He was all-time great player at UW Green Bay, same school my mom went to. And then he had a long career overseas.
So, when will you be influential, I suppose, in guiding your brothers through whatever process they have going forward, trying to get accepted or trying to get opportunities and scholarships and so forth?
My parents talked to me. I've tried to like kind of stay away from it a little bit and let them go through it. I think if they ask me questions and what they think, like I've had one of my cousins is a really good player too, and he had some questions about the process, and so I'm there for that. But I don't want to like Hader's getting recruited by Duke now. I don't want to like
encourage
I
one way or another.
I loved it there, but like I don't want to necessarily pressure him into that or make him feel like he should. So try to let them go through their process, make their own decision.
Yeah, you you did play basketball at Duke, and I'm curious as to what that experience is like to get recruited by programs that are so successful.
Yeah, I think I remember when I was getting recruited, and I didn't really have we call them a blue blood program, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, those type of schools, and so a bunch of the schools recruited me, good programs, Alabama, Wisconsin, Marquette, Virginia, like really good high level programs, but they weren't necessarily that. And so I remember when I got offered by them, like I had a bunch of texts, like people texting me like, "Oh wow, like Duke," and I didn't really have that from many other schools, and that wasn't like didn't mean anything like decision wise, but it was like, dang, this is a big deal, and so that was kind of like the first taste of like at Duke, or things surrounding Duke are like a very you're on the main stage in that realm.
Yeah. So were you surprised, I guess, or were you expecting those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think so, because they recruited me kind of late. They offered me in July before my senior year, and there were schools that had been recruiting me since my freshman year in the spring and in the summer.
Really?
Yeah. And so, they came on kind of late, and I went and visited, and I loved it. I loved how like the school was small. I was a little bit intimidated by some of the bigger universities, and so I love that about Duke. And then obviously all the basketball stuff is the best.
First class.
Yeah.
So what about distance from home? Was there any? I mean, you'd been recruited by Alabama. You mentioned them, and a couple other schools. USC.
USC was in
So
there.
like,
they didn't recruit me that hard.
But like you in your mind, distance and.
Yeah, it was something I was a little worried about at first, and then, I felt like I really liked Marquette. They were 10 minutes from home, and I was like, well, if Duke was 10 minutes from home, I would go there 100%.
Yeah.
So, trying to take that out of it a little bit, and it was tough at first. I was pretty homesick in the summer when we went down there, and we have close family, close group, so that was tough getting away from that. But ultimately, I think. It was a great decision, and so many good people down there that helped me through that, and just a lot of really, really great relationships.
Yeah, who are some of the people that helped you, kind of get acclimated with college life at Duke?
Yeah, I mean, I think coaches are really influential in that. Shire, just sitting down talking with him. Emmanuel Dildy, who was the assistant that I worked with, like player development wise. Those two guys were great. They were confident that it was going to be a good year for me, and we were going to have a good team and have a lot of fun. So it was just kind of getting through those first couple weeks back after the summer too.
Yeah.
And I got in a good spot. You get in a rhythm. You get so busy, you stop worrying about it a little bit. But and then obviously teammates. Teammates are a good resource. I still have a lot of close buddies. Some of them are in the NBA, and so. They're great too.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper was on the team as well, now in the NBA, and you guys kind of had almost a parallel season this year. I know he had a different experience through injuries and so forth, but you and him both had incredible years. When you're playing with him at Duke, I remember when the tournament started and everybody was talking about him and how incredible he was last year. And we all, I say we, but like me and all my friends, we watched him play all that out. And, how was that being on the court with him, knowing his potential, right? And knowing what kind of player he was going to be. I wanted to kind of push that forward to this year where, you became a star in your own right. On the team with him, you guys are all sharing roles, and none of us casual fans can see, what your real potential is going to be once you get to the NBA, because there's a lot of great players that played incredible ball in college that didn't translate to the NBA. But, you had an incredible year this year. Contrast, I guess, sharing the court with him as a teammate versus not being on the court with him the following year and having to work around these new guys.
Yeah, I think he's a really special player. I remember the first time we played pickup, kind of with our team and with our group, and it was before even like summer workouts started, and like we were playing on the same team, or we switched teams like midway through. So the first group, like whoever was on his team won, and then he switched teams. We like switched like one guy, and then that team won. So I remember telling my dad, like, you got to be pretty good to be able to do that. And so, he's a really smart player. And what I love about him most is that, he just makes the right play. He's all about making the right play. Some guys are really good, talented scorers, but they're always looking to score. Like he doesn't care if he scores 20 or 10. He's just trying to make the right basketball play that leads to the win. And so, it was easy to play with him. I think, when you have a player like that, and he was super talented, and the weight of the world's on his shoulders too. And I thought he handled that better than anybody that I've seen. And so it was a thrill to play with him. And then this year not playing with him, like there's other talented guys you got to get used to.
Right.
It's the NBA. Everybody was the
Everybody's
best player
good.
in college.
Yeah.
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
And so it was a real fun. I think part of my game that is good is that I can kind of go out there with anybody and elevate and make the team better, and I can kind of fit in with different types of players. And so it was a blast playing with LaMelo this year, and Brandon and Miles and all in our group, and Musa. It's fun playing with the guys. And Coach Lee made it a great style of basketball. Yeah. That was fun to play, and I'm sure it was fun for the fan to watch.
Coach just got extended.
Yeah, he did.
How excited were you guys to know? I mean, I think the one thing that fans worry about is keeping it together, right?
Yep.
We got a lot. There's great potential. There's good draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
There's real opportunity, and I think extending him is a great sign, not only to the fan base but to you guys, right?
Yeah, right. I was pumped with like how we handled this season. We started poorly, had some injuries, got everybody back, went on like a little bit of a run, and like most teams would have just like, all right, we're tanking this year. We're going to try to get another good pick, add another piece. And I was happy that they let us ride that out. It builds some, the players want to go out there and they want to win and they want to compete. So, that builds some trust within the organization and the players. And so, I mean, we're super pumped to have C. Lee back and extended, because we want to keep building. And I think what Jeff talks about a lot is he doesn't want to skip steps, and maybe put a lot of stuff together and go maybe try to get some guy that maybe that doesn't work out, or maybe it's only for 1 or 2 years. And so we want to keep building together. And I think it'll be really good that way, and you just keep adding guys through the draft. We got a couple of first round picks this year, and hopefully get 2 more studs and keep building this thing.
Yeah. What was the who is the leader in terms of, so like you see the post game locker room celebrations. Those are relatively new for fans.
Yeah.
It's not stuff that we're privy to over the years. We haven't seen that kind of energy and excitement and happiness, joy.
Yeah.
Who is responsible for that? Or is that just is there a couple of personalities in the room that sort of lead that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a pretty collective effort. I think the coaching staff does a really, really good job. Just bringing that energy every day. And then obviously, we got some big personalities in the locker room. LaMelo is just positive energy all the time. So that's good to have. And then, guys that have been around in the league for a bit with Connaughton and Grant Williams and Miles, like having those guys was good for us young guys. And, I think we'll keep growing in all those areas, and everybody becoming more vocal and holding each other more accountable.
Yeah.
And that's just, getting older and being in this league a little bit longer. But, I think the staff does a really good job of bringing the juice every day.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that you guys had 3 weeks off and you're back at it. So, are you really in the gym every day for the entire year? You're between those 3 weeks. What other time do you have really to yourself?
Yeah, we got some more time in July
Yeah.
to go home. So this kind of time, well, there'll be pre-draft workouts. Guys will be coming in for potential rookie picks. But we're not like going balls to the wall right
Sure.
now. We're getting on the court, working on fundamentals, in the weight room.
When you mentioned the pre-draft workouts, do you guys get to engage with those guys?
Yeah, I think so. Like
that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
like
potential guys that may be on the team, may not, but you still get to know who they are.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was a couple guys watching my
Yeah.
pre-draft workout. Well, there was actually like I walked in, there was like 60 people from the organization. And it was just me in there.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, there was a couple guys, so I look forward to doing that. But it's fun right now. Like I wasn't on the team for this part of the season last year, so it's good right now. It's fun, keeping it light, and we'll start to ramp up more in June, and that'll be a big month for us. But it's been good.
What was that like to walk in the room and see all those people that were wanting to see you?
Yeah, that was a little intimidating.
Right?
It was my first pre-draft workout too, and I hadn't played in a couple of weeks because I sprained my ankle, so I was a little nervous. But
how many of those did you do for other teams?
I did it for Charlotte, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I'm
Were
glad it worked out.
they all
and
somewhat
Charlotte got
similar
me.
experiences? Or no?
There's a couple more were a little different. They're all, so I did them all by myself. Sometimes there's a group of 3 or 4 guys that are potential guys that they draft together. And I did all mine individual, so that you're not sharing any reps.
No, yeah.
And so it's
spotlight.
a little harder, and just like they make the workouts harder than anything you've ever done on the court. So you're completely wasted, and they're really just trying to see what you kind of push through. It's more of that stuff than
Interesting.
They know what you're capable of on the court, what the skills you have, but it's more about shape and like what are you willing to do?
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
So, do you have a pretty decent idea that you're going to get picked by Charlotte?
I felt good about it.
How much do you truly know and understand?
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't really, unless they tell, like, sometimes teams will tell you we're taking you at this. But at 4, I didn't know. I felt really good about C. Lee and Jeff, and I felt like we had a good relationship. And I knew that Rick Schnall, the ownership, and some of the guys in the ownership are big, Duke fans, and they go to K Academy, which is like Coach K's fantasy camp.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I knew they had seen me a lot, and been around a little bit. So I kind of felt good about it in that way. But other than that, you never really know.
Do you remember the feeling that you had when you got called?
I was pumped. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like, is there any, I know there's elation, right? And happiness and excitement around that, but is there also relief that you got 20, you got 18 years of work, right? You got all this.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a little bit of relief. I mean, I didn't really think about playing in the NBA until like my senior year of high school. And even then it's like, you don't really know how college is going to go.
Yep.
So I didn't think about it much. I thought about just, getting better each day. And I think that was a good approach for me. But yeah, it was awesome. I was pumped, and it's good to find out where you're going, where you're moving. I think that's a big piece of it too. It's like you have no idea where you could be living next year. And so I was pumped to stay in state too, where I'd been the year before.
For sure. Yeah.
So
you had a decent idea of what the weather was like, what it looked like terrain wise.
Yep. So that was also a plus.
Yeah. Your time in Duke though, I mean, it's literally like what, 16 months in total?
Not even. I'd say you get there in July and you're out. I was out by Duke graduates in like late April, so I was out by April. So
forgive my ignorance, but is that your expectation going in?
No.
Right? You're thinking it could be here 3-4 years?
Yeah. I had no anticipation or expectation to be Division I.
Do some guys
one and done?
Do some guys have that locked in their mind? And
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
That's my goal. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, like Cooper was like the number 1 player in the country, so he was like everybody was already saying he was the
Sure.
number 1 pick. And so he probably like he knows. It happened like pretty early on where I was like, oh okay, like
That's what's happening.
I think I'll be able to go. But I had no idea. I just kind of wanted to throw myself into that, and that was kind of a goal, I'd say.
Is it your choice entirely?
I mean, you can stay. You see now that kids that are kind of borderline in that like lottery to like late first round range are going back because they're getting paid.
Yeah.
Getting paid a lot. So
plus, is it realistic to think they got a better shot at a higher pick the second year? Or?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so. Age starts to become a thing where it's like, oh, you're old, you're a little older, so you don't get picked as early.
Like what age is getting old?
Yeah, I think, like sometimes being like 22, like is seen, like if you went 4 years and you're 22, like that, sometimes that dings you a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then you see those guys will come in and be awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if that thought process is changing a little bit, but sometimes it does kind of ding guys.
Yeah. How do you handle, talking about dings, how do you handle the nicks and bruises, right? Because you talked about the intensity of the season and game after game and not many nights off. You have things you have to play through, but some things you can't play through.
Yeah.
How do you manage?
Yeah, I think we in the NBA we have 4 athletic trainers and then a head athletic trainer, and so they each have like 3 or 4 guys that they work with, and I think that we did a really, really good job.
Players? So the team's parted out to these dudes. So you got your own guy and you're sharing it with a couple other players.
They all work for the team, but they kind of like split up into pods. And so me specifically and my guy Harrison Herman, we did a really good job of communicating and just working through everything every day. If something was bugging me, I would make sure to let him know.
What would be bugging you?
My shoulder is just kind of been something that's been bothering me for a couple of years now. So we worked through that, and I didn't really have much trouble with it during the season. The low back sometimes gets a little tight. That was something that came on this year. I sprained the ankle, only missed 1 game. That was mostly because we started doing treatment for it in the 3rd quarter of the game I sprained it. So they're really on top of it.
Yeah.
If you really pour into that and like are open with them and share stuff going on,
transparent.
They'll do the best to get you out there and get you feeling good.
Yeah. At 20 years old, you want to. I noticed that in conversation here today, you haven't ever really like looked too far ahead. You just kind of tried to be good that day, get better tomorrow than the day after that. But like when you're in the league, 20 years old, how do how much information do you get from some of the veterans around maintaining your health and taking care of yourself for that, that 10-year run and trying to be as good as you possibly can during this window of opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the things that we talk about, and it's with the whole group, and like how important sleep is, and diet, like those things can really help you just feeling fresher. Sleep's the big one. Like I wasn't a big nap guy, and I'm still not a huge fan of like taking naps. I wake up sometimes a little groggy, but most players, it's like every game day they're taking that nap, having a maybe an hour or 2 of nap. And so I try to get 30 to 45. I just get so antsy before the game on game days. So I try to get some of that in, just that extra sleep, the extra recovery. And then, diet is something, I'm working on to get a little bit better at. I don't know, I'm 20 years old, so I've been, we had pretty good at home, but, I like to eat. So, trying to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are 2 areas that'll help guys in the long run for sure.
Yeah. What about, what about shooting? So, we saw late in the season, I think you were dealing with some injuries and stuff, some challenges that were making things difficult for you in the final, little stretch there. But I want to compare it kind of to like a golfer, who's always chasing his swing, right? Golfers are never guaranteed anything, right? They've got to go out there, they've got to hit they've got to hit balls all day long. They're always, no matter how good they are, how good they're perceived, they're at they're at a tee practicing their shot and their swing and working on their swing all the time. And I imagine just casually following over the last decade or two, I hear about shot mechanics and guys even trying to change how they shoot the ball once they get to the NBA because they've been allowed to sort of do it incorrectly through college. Talk about talk about how you had such a great run throughout the year. You're shooting the ball really well. We did see you struggle toward the very end of the season. What are the things that create those challenges?
Yeah, I think towards the end of the season, it's just like sometimes that shot just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I think, I got into that a little bit. I had a really slow start at Duke. Where I didn't shoot it very good to start the season at all. I was shooting like maybe high 20% from three. And I think there for sure, I definitely let it affect me mentally. I was turning some down that I shouldn't have been.
Oh,
some of that.
Really?
Where this year, I wasn't shooting it good, and I had no real thought about it, other than man, I want it to go in. But I thought I did better with, I'm still taking
the
it.
mental side of it.
Yeah, I think I did better with the mental side of it, and sometimes it just doesn't go in. But yeah, I would say that golf analogy, just trying to find your swing, chasing your swing. I feel like that's good sometimes because when you feel good, you can come off a screen and just throw it up there and it's going, it's going in.
Yeah.
When you feel really good, and sometimes there's days where you gotta find it.
Yeah.
And some days it just doesn't feel good. Doesn't mean you can't make them.
Yep.
I've had days where, man, my shot just doesn't feel good and they're still going in, which is confusing.
Yeah.
Or some days it feels really good and they're not going in.
Yeah.
And so I think just finding that comfortability. I always try to remind myself of a couple of mechanics, things, to just as good reminders of making sure I'm focusing on that when I'm shooting. And so that tends to help.
Yeah. We saw you break a lot of records, especially with 3-point shooting this year. Broke Kemba Walker's record, and had more threes than anybody on the team when it was all said and done. When as you're going through that, so this coincides with this incredible little stretch y'all had, right before the halfway part of the season. Was it kind of helpful to be almost distracted by the run y'all were trying to maintain and the success and cohesion you had built in the team? Was that almost a nice distraction away from hey man, guess what? You're breaking these records. Just, can you keep that up? Because once you start hitting all these 3-pointers, everybody's just give him the ball, make him shoot more threes. Just keep making threes. Just keep making threes, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure for you, I imagine.
Yeah, I think I think obviously the focus is the team and what we can do to win, and so that's what I'm always going to be focused on. And I think Charles, talks to me a lot about you're a really good player. You're not just a shooter.
Yes.
And so a big thing for me is, I try to get in, to find that shot. You got to see a couple other things go down, or getting into the game a little bit. So I always feel getting a couple rebounds, or maybe getting into the lane, get fouled, get to the free throw line, get a layup, see the ball go through. And so I think about those things, or playing really good defense, getting a stop.
Yep. And
then that kind of goes all downhill from there, and where you can feel comfortable and getting that three up, and then it's less pressure on, oh man, I got a wide open three to start the game, I got to make it.
Yeah.
So get into the game in a different way. but yeah, I mean, the goal is always to win and you know, to make the game as easy as possible for my teammates. And so that's always a good distraction from any personal stuff.
Yeah. So at the end of the season, when you sit down and you look at the accomplishments, those are just what kind of pride do you take from that? I mean, you're 20 years old. I don't know that you can truly realize the accomplishment that you actually have at this point. It's maybe something that you look back on when you're 30, 35 and go, damn, that was cool, man. I didn't know what I did, you know?
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you're at, or did you and Melo have a friendly banter about, you know, who's going to end up on top because he closed in the gap a little bit there at the end of the year?
Yeah. That's why I laughed before when you said that. But yeah, I think we didn't really have like friendly banter like during it. I think we were trying to make the right basketball plays.
Right.
And so, you know, we talked about it right after that game. But yeah, I think, you know, definitely like down the line, I'll probably look back at it. You know, there's some time for reflection. You know, in that 3 weeks on the season, especially when you're watching like playoffs and like, man, I wish we were playing right now. And so there's some of that, and that definitely carries over to next season. And that's goes back to like being glad we have a similar group and getting ready to go for next year.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you leave with that, you know, pit of the stomach of how that last game went. And so right now a lot of the focus is on next year, and I'm sure I'll think about it when I'm a little bit older too.
Guys, it's back, and I'm excited because now you don't have to go hunting all over for good barbecue. Arby's is bringing back that slow-smoked goodness straight to the drive-thru. I've been waiting all year for Arby's to bring back their barbecue sandwich lineup this year, and it's even better than ever. We're talking a 1/4 pound of pulled pork smoked for 4 hours and a 1/4 pound of chopped brisket smoked for a full 13 hours. Now that's real barbecue, low and slow. On pit road, we work fast, but in the barbecue pit, slow is how you get it right. And they got it right. And the sweet and spicy barbecue sauces are back too, so you can mix it up however you like. I'll be honest, 13-hour brisket from the drive-thru, I had to try it. I picked up a sandwich the other day for lunch on my way to the shop, and it surprised me. It's legit. Low and slow in fast food, it's kind of wild, but it works. Arby's is doing real, authentic barbecue that's so good you won't believe that you got it at a drive-thru. Everybody knows Arby's has the meats, so if you can count on anyone to do barbecue right, it had to be Arby's. Available for a limited time at participating locations while supplies last. Prices may vary. Get your barbecue sandwich at Arby's near you today. The game before, I know you got eliminated, but the game before that, you had multiple overtimes. The play where Melo basically just takes the ball and scores, and at the end of the game, he gets interviewed and says, I had to do it because I was the one that messed us up. Yeah. When you see a guy do that, like I'm going to tell you, I want to celebrate you, but that right there was that was just really, really impressive. I'm not that I didn't think he had it in him, but I love the fact that he wanted to put it on his shoulder. He felt this responsibility to fix it, right? And that left a mark on me, like watching that go down. I couldn't believe it. I was like, hell, wow, we don't do those things. Charlotte don't get that stuff. And we got it, you know. That was such a great thing to see. Did you guys all have a similar reaction to him? You're on the floor. You're so close to it, but that was a really freaking insane series of events. And how much does that help momentum? And how what did that change? I guess in the way you looked at him as a player. Yeah.
Well, I think.
I'm sure you maybe have seen multiple scenarios of that throughout the season that a lot of us probably didn't even realize were that big of a deal. But that to me was a remarkable play.
Yeah, I think it just showed, like, that game really showed the fragility of winning and losing. Like, we're up 5, Hero hits a crazy 3 in the corner, and then we don't really help Melo out either on like getting the outlet or somebody find an outlet for him. But he throws it away and then fouls the guy on a 3. And so, like, you're up 5 and like should be easy win no matter what happens, and then all of a sudden you go from that to down 1. And so I think it takes a lot of balls to just get the ball and go score. It's hard to do that in the league. and he had a good matchup with Jaquez, and went and took him, and I love that you cleaned up his language a little bit on what he said in the post game. But I think that's who he is. I mean, he doesn't really live in the results. He just tries to use. He's a process oriented guy. He's not worried about the result, and he has no fear. And I think those are really good attributes to have.
Yeah. I love that the team. I mean, he's been with us for a while, and it's always kind of been like you can see the glimpses of potential in him if he's in the right scenario. And I feel like he's finally complimented, and he compliments you, and you compliment him, and all the other players on the team. It's all really been fun to watch. Explain to me the dynamics of the NBA where you can have a game where you'll have a game where you can easily handle an opponent, and then they can come back like later in the year or even a week later and have a completely opposite result to that. So, like, you guys did go through such an emotional roller coaster in that game, and then move on to get knocked out in the next game. Explain that whole process of how you feel like you guys allowed that to happen. What was missing?
Yeah, I mean, my high school coach just asked me that, like, how do you guys lose by 30 in an elimination game? And you'll see that a lot in the playoffs. Like, you'll see there's a lot of close games, and then there's a lot of blowouts. And there's not like many games that are like, oh, they won by 10, unless they made like some free throws at the end. Yeah. Or they won by 15. Like, it's like, oh, it's like a 2-point game, or it's like 25.
Right.
And so, obviously we weren't. I mean, we didn't have it.
Did you feel like that the game before had how that all played out? Did you guys kind of like, was that a mental taxing result?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of like that game is. There's a lot of mood swings in that game. I don't know if that really affected. It didn't affect our preparation for the next game. I felt like we were prepared. We knew what we wanted to do, and we just didn't execute. And that's tough. Orlando came out, and also they were on fire right away. Hit like 5 threes, and that's not the team they had been for most of the season or all of the season. And so, sometimes that happens, and then you try to overcorrect a little bit. And it becomes, well, I'm gonna try to do something, or you're start trying to get it all back at once, and then it just kind of snowballs, and that's tough. And especially, 18, 20-point games in the regular season can be gone like that, because there's not as much pressure. But in the playoffs, the game kind of slows down, and the possessions slow down. They aren't as numerous as they are in the regular season. And so, sometimes that can kind of play into that too, where it's a little bit harder to come back when those leads are kind of big.
Yeah, I find that kind of fascinating because, it happens in all sports. Teams that look like they're unbeatable or invincible will find challenges in some of the strangest areas against some opponents that you would think that they can manhandle. But I with all that said, man, I'm telling you, I think I speak for all fans of the team, how thankful we were to have so much to enjoy. Regardless of that final result, there was so much in the middle of that whole season that we got to enjoy. That was so unique to us. What is the difference between winning that game and moving forward into the playoffs and really bringing a good challenge to somebody in the first round? What is the difference between the team you are today and the team that can go do that? What are the missing pieces? Yeah, I mean, I think,
we're 2 regular season games away from being like the 5th seed, 2 wins. And so, you beat Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, and you beat New Orleans. But we had a bad loss to them. But then there's also, we beat OKC by a bunch in their home court. And so you can kind of pick and choose. But I feel like the East is going to be a lot better next year with the Pacers getting healthy, and whatever the Wizards, are going to have with Trae Young and Anthony Davis and whoever they pick at 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's going to be a step up in the East. And so I think, our physicality and toughness, has to come to the next level. Hopefully the guys we pick, can contribute early. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And embracing those guys. But I think the weight room right now is like really important for us. I think we had some issues with teams that were more physical and stronger. And so, hopefully, adding a little bit more mass collectively as a team, I think that'll be really beneficial. And then, being in the next year we can do some more complex stuff offensively with C. Lee, which I'm really looking forward to. Taking the next step in that regard as well.
When you're talking about putting on muscle, you see a lot of guys. This happens in a lot of different sports where you see guys, put on a lot of body mass once they get to the pro level. How do you do that without changing your shot? How do you do that without
changing the shot? Yeah,
right? Yeah, because if you're trying to put on muscle, right? It affects the way Tiger Woods swings a golf club, right?
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm like really a guy that needs to put on like more mass. Like we definitely have guys that could use a little bit more weight. I think it's just, for me, it's probably more of like a mentality, and like, there is an area to be stronger, but physically, but more of a mentality of like being more physical. I think that's
playing tougher.
That's a big thing
one-on-one
in hoops. So I think, I'll give you, to go your adding mass thing. Like I was 219 at the draft combine, and I was like training at like that was like about where I was at, and they came in and like, we want you like closer to 225, and so I was like, like for most of the season I was like 228, and so that's like 9 pounds right there, and because I was a little bit worried because I was we were lifting so much in the off season, and I was like, I'm eating, you got to eat to refuel and stuff. I'm like, guys, I'm gaining weight, and I wasn't like eating bad stuff or anything. I'm like, I'm gaining a lot of weight. I'm like, yeah, it's good. We want you to. I'm like, okay. And I
why were you worried?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was like, I thought that was like, a good weight for me. And then I got out there and I was like, oh, I feel the same.
Yeah.
And I'm 9 pounds heavier. So,
you worry about speed and mobility?
Yeah. You worry about speed. You want to be quick. You want to be fast out there. And, I didn't really notice much of a drop off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Can you speak about the, talking about trying to get more physical with your game? Is that a confidence? Is that like, so you get out there and you play with Duke, not everybody on the other team is the best player, right? And so there's some avenues and opportunities, and you go into games as Duke confident, right? You're going to take these guys. It's no big deal. But when you're playing in the NBA, you're playing on the Charlotte Hornets, who've been, struggling to win a lot of games. People are coming into our building thinking that they're going to have an easy night, right?
Right.
How did that process go for you this year to sort of build the confidence that you could go one-on-one with everybody you played against?
Yeah, I think, we had Melo and Brandon injured like early in the season, and it's like kind of trial by fire. You just kind of get thrown in there like, well, we need you.
Yeah.
So they're playing me 40 minutes right away. I'm like, well, we need you to go out and score. We need you, we need you to defend. We need you to, play make for us. And I think, that was good for me right away. Even, it wasn't good for our team, and it sucked because we were losing. But it was good to give me some confidence going forward that I belonged.
Yeah.
And then, once all the guys came back, it was great.
Did you have an NBA moment? I've talked to a lot of guys, a lot of athletes in different sports that have a moment, a tackle or a play or something where they were like the opposing players like, hey, buddy, welcome to the NBA.
Yeah, I've been saying Andre Drummond, the big from the Sixers. He hit me with a nice screen in the second game of the season. That was a tough one. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he say anything?
No, just drilled me.
Yeah. How much conversation is there out on the court?
As a rookie, kind of keep your head
down.
Keep your head down. Don't try to at least this is what I personally there's times to show emotion and be
What do you
pumped
hear
and,
from other players? What are the veterans doing?
I didn't hear a whole lot from opposing guys directed at me.
Yeah, but amongst your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, LaMelo likes to talk a lot of crap, and Brandon likes to talk a little bit of crap. So you hear a lot of stuff. I don't know if I really heard anything that interesting. I'm also not very good at paying attention to dude.
I would have a hard time not getting entertained, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
My ear would be.
Yeah. You'd be listening for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's NBA.
Yeah, I know. I try not to get sucked into some of that stuff. I think, I don't know. It is entertaining sometimes.
You talked about the draft, and we've got a couple of picks in the first round. Mm-hmm. So not having been in this experience ever before as a team, how will you guys watch the draft? I'm sure, you probably won't gather, but I'm just thinking that's a very important moment, right? And you guys are a team that right on the cusp of that progress and moving forward, and you want every decision the organization makes is so critical and important at this stage. So how will draft night be for you now that you're on the team and looking to see who they're going to add? Yeah,
it'll be interesting. Teams with multiple first round picks tend, there's some flexibility there with trades and moving up, moving back. If you really
how deep is the draft? I've always watched the draft and wondered, comparable to the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL.
You can get great guys in round 2, round 3.
Yeah.
And I know there's great guys in the draft in the NBA. I'm not downplaying this. I don't know about it. I'm a novice, but I would say everybody's so fixated on the top 7, the top 8 players, maybe the top 12, but where there's real value even back in 15th, 17th.
Yeah. I would say the NFL definitely there's so much more value in a first round pick than there is probably in the NBA. The top of the first round is probably comparable to the entire first round for the NFL. The lottery, there's those are valuable picks. But it is valuable to have multiple first round picks, regardless of where they are. And so ours are in, right in the middle.
What do you feel like if you had to guess on what the move is for the team, what do you think they do? Think they package them up and move up?
Yeah, I don't know.
You were given this opportunity to be a part of the lottery, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that?
It was awesome.
What did they do? They come up to you and say, "Hey, man, you want to do this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, "No problem."
Yeah.
Where do I got to go?
Yeah.
What do I wear?
I was in. Yeah. Exactly. I was in Milwaukee, so I was there in Chicago. I was easy. I'll just drive down there and fly back to Charlotte. That
what
night.
Was that like?
It was awesome because all the other representatives for all the other teams, our legends, Alonzo Mourning, who's a Charlotte Hornet legend, was there, and so he introduced himself.
That's
and
cool.
It was cool to talk to him. There's Vince Carter. There's some other legends that I got to talk to. And so that's always cool. I'm
because you love the history.
Yeah, I'm like a little kid around that. Man, this is awesome. I saw Tayshaun Prince play all the time when I was little.
Yeah.
Or even Rolando Blackman. It's I had his jersey growing up. Some of that stuff was cool to me. So it's always good to get to talk to some of the legends from the game. You got to appreciate that history, I think, a little bit to play in this league. Yeah.
So having been connected to that moment, I think maybe you'll watch it. You'll be a little more intent. Well, is there a text thread with your teammates that you'll all be going, "Hey man, I like that guy. That's awesome."
Yeah, definitely. I think I remember. LaMelo really liked me. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Or that's what has been reported, I guess, in the pre-draft. process, which is cool to hear. And so, I'm sure we'll talk about all the guys that come through in workouts. And, I've talked to one of our guys that works in the front office about some guys that he likes, that they like, that they go and see. So,
wait now.
What?
So you get your
No, I mean, they bounce stuff off.
Like what?
They just ask you about certain players.
Do you watch enough? Do you get enough time to really see enough?
Yeah, I love watching college hoops.
Yeah.
I didn't watch as much this year.
Who are some players that you think are opportunities for us? If say we sit still.
Yeah.
Who are some guys that you're like, damn, that'd be badass?
Yeah, I haven't really looked at mocks as far as I don't know if this guy's way out of not projected to be 14, but I like Mara from Michigan a lot. Like I just saw his measurements come in the other day. He's huge. He's 7'3" barefoot with a 7'6" wingspan. Like it's a big.
Yeah.
I think I like watching him play. I liked his teammate Lendeborg, who's an older guy from Michigan. He was a really good player. So that was one of the teams I watched a lot.
Michigan.
Yeah. So because they won the national championship, obviously.
Yeah.
So I liked those guys.
Yeah.
I like some of the Cam Boozer. We won't get him because, well, I don't know if we'd have to give up a whole lot to move up. But I like his game. Obviously, he's a really smart player. But there's a lot of guys that I enjoy watching. There's a kid from Alabama, Amari Allen. He's from Green Bay, so I got to see him. Grew up playing a little AAU ball with him. So I don't know where he's mocked at or projected to be picked at, but I thought he had a really good year at Alabama. And so we'll see. I mean, I have no idea what they want to do or what the GM stuff, but those are some guys that I liked watching.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of players that we've drafted, and it's interesting. I don't know the rhyme or reason, but it's interesting to me what guys come in and can play meaningful minutes, can have an impact on the team, and then there's other players where it just seems to take a couple of years for them to find their ability to just be productive. We see that too in racing. I know that's not comparable to basketball, but we have guys that'll come in and can win right away. And then we'll have other guys that will be champions. They will be winners, but they have 3 or 4 years of just really struggling to produce. And but if you're patient, it finally clicks. And I know you might not be able to speak to that because you were kind of thrust into a role where you had to get out there and do it. But what is the some guys can come in and play right away and make a difference on an NBA team, whereas others, is it a physical adjustment that they need to make from college? Is it the speed of the game being just that much different?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different levels of prospects that you select, that you take in the draft, and so there's some guys that you take that might need a little more work. Or they're raw, or they could develop into something great, and their potential is really high, and so you take a chance on those guys. And then there's some guys that are older, are more experienced college players, are used to playing with that level of physicality that it takes to play in the NBA, and they're just a little better suited, to come into the league and play a role right away and be able to be prepared on the court, and so I think it just depends. I feel like some of those guys are really obvious and he might need some time, and then there's some guys that are maybe he might play, might not, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this guy can hang.
How does the summer league make a difference? You played in the summer league, so
yeah.
what is the end goal there for a player, other than just to show his team that they got what they hope they?
Yeah, I mean, I think. The summer league is good, to get professional experience. It's a tough environment for we were there for 2.5 weeks in Vegas. It's not great. You're in a hotel in the middle of July, and you're in there a lot, and you're walking through the casino.
It's only one thing to do in Vegas.
Yeah,
but you're there to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so. it was awesome to win. Like that was the goal, is go out there and win. And so I think it's just like any other opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like if you wanted to go out there and do your best, and so I think that you go out there and I'm gonna play the right way. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give it my all. Like that's the way to go out there, in the approach to go out there.
The G League, the Swarm, they won the title. What of that do you guys pay attention to, and how realistic? So we had a really great team. Mm-hmm. How realistic is it for those guys to see see an opportunity on an NBA lineup?
Well, I mean, there's the two-way guys, mm-hmm. And then there's the guys. We had Liam was down there, and Tijon was down there.
My question is, like, I'm seeing those guys play ball really well, mm-hmm. and they're statistically doing a lot of great things. Yeah. For somebody that is a casual fan, why are you guys not putting them? Why are they not on our NBA squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think you come up, it's a different level.
Yeah.
And
it's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Like the G League, there's not a lot of bigs from watching some games. And I mean, there's a lot of really good players that play in the G League. And we have a lot of guys that played in the G League this year that are really good players. PJ Hall came up and had to play a couple of games with us, and he was great. Obviously Liam and Tijon were down there a bit, and they're still young players in this mm-hmm. league, and they got a lot of room to grow. And they're
is that effective for them?
Better. Yeah, it's more reps. Like
it's pushed down there. They're out. Yeah, they're getting out on the court.
Better than being up mm-hmm. and not really playing.
Not playing meaningful minutes.
So it's good for them to get down there and get that opportunity. And then when they come up, every time they came up,
you see a difference.
Yeah, they look more comfortable, and so
that's cool.
It's such a useful tool, and I think it's good. We've seen that become more of a thing. A lot of organizations using that more and more for development.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Rookie of the Year. I don't want to make you uncomfortable because you're a humble guy, but there was a big debate nationwide over who was the rightful Rookie of the Year this year. And, I kind of want to hear how I don't know that you probably cared too much about how that netted out. At least you're not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to tell me whether you feel like you deserved it or not, but you, like all of us, have to wait for the results, and those are the results, and you move forward. Mm-hmm. Your good friend wins the award. You both are very supportive of each other, which is great. And I'm sure you've heard a ton of great feedback from fans who believed that you deserved to win it.
Yep.
What has that experience been like? I was sitting there thinking, I was devastated for you, because, having paid really close attention to the season, I felt like that the body of work was deserving of the award. But I was wondering maybe that you were just thankful to be in the conversation, and that you're like, man, this is what a hell of an opportunity to. So I'm just curious, what was your mind frame?
Obviously I wanted to win it. I felt like I felt that if you would have told me that that's how I played at the beginning of the season, this is how your season would go, I would have taken it 100%. Mm-hmm. I went into that day of them announcing it in the morning. I was like, I can't do anything about it now. I did all I could.
Yeah.
And so, I never really, I would have, felt a little bit bad about it if I was like, man, I left some stuff out there, but I felt like I did all I could. Maybe I wish I could have shot it better at the end of the season, but I did all I could. And so, I was willing to live with the result. I felt like I had a really, really good season. I felt like I was deserving. I would have won it in a lot of different years.
Yep.
And I thought Cooper was also very deserving. He had a great year. And so,
have you and him had an opportunity to chat?
Yeah. I texted him right after. Try to get together with him this summer sometime for a weekend or something. But yeah, we talked about it. Congratulated him. He had a heck of a season, and it was definitely an honor to be considered. obviously wish I would have won.
For sure, man. I was wanting that for you as well, bud. And I know it's a very small consolation prize, but there are so many people that are that believe you deserved it. There's a lot of Hornets fans that still have their mind about the player you are and the person you are hasn't been altered at all by the overall decision. But yeah, man, I've enjoyed talking to you. I'm glad you come over here. I know that you got a lot going on, and I see the 2311 shirt.
Yeah,
I appreciate
the
supporting NASCAR. Have you been over to their shop?
I have
Got
not.
a chance? You got it. You
not.
drive right past it, headed to Charlotte. Beautiful place. But I mean, are you familiar? Follow the sport at all? NASCAR?
No, I don't.
Not really. Yeah,
it's something I probably got to get into a little bit.
Well, being in Charlotte, you won't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
You'll learn regardless.
Yeah.
You won't have to try too hard.
Yeah.
It'll be everywhere. But we got the 600 coming up in a couple weeks. If you wanted to come out and check it out, man. I start broadcasting for Amazon that weekend, and it fantastic race. And I mean, it's right here in the backyard. Yeah. Dude, good luck. Have fun. You got a long summer. And hopefully you get to enjoy some time off and get your mind wrapped around your second NBA season.
Yeah.
One of many. It's been a joy, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Come back again. Kon Knueppel on the Dale Jr. Download. All right, don't forget about stopping by the online merch store. We have some new stuff dropping called the Zero to Freedom line. This drops on May the 6th. Let's take a look at some of these shirts. In the Zero to Freedom line. Look at that. Full send since 2013. Nice one, man. Good, clean on the front and on the back. You got the American flag with a bunch of, looks like some Gen 5 race cars. Star Stripes and stock cars. And then another clean front there on the blue Dirty Mo. And again, the Eagle. Zero to Freedom. And if you don't want sleeves, you'll get this number. Check it out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. May the 6th. A couple of those new shirts will be on there for you guys to enjoy. So, all right. Let's finish this up. Kon Knueppel on the Dale Jr. Download. I recognize, I have some self-awareness. I recognize that I come out of the gate in this interview a little hot. I was excited. And I basically sit there and talk to him for like 5 minutes without asking him a question. But I just needed to, it helps me, forgive me, if you will, for having some anxiety or I just needed to shape for him. I could tell he wasn't quite sure where he was at, who he was sitting with, and what he was doing here. And so I kind of wanted to spell out for him, what led to this opportunity for us to sit down and talk. And I want this was for me. This is I mean, can I be selfish for a minute? This is what I love doing the show for, is to be able to talk to people I want to talk to and tell them what I want to tell them. And so I really got to do that. So I'm sorry if the intro was a little cheesy. And if I was dorking out there, geeking out a little bit, but I was.
I think that's fine.
I'll admit it. Now, I had to share with him kind of like what led to this moment. And again, I'll also apologize for not being an expert in the NBA or basketball. I'm not. I like the Hornets. I want them to do well. Anybody, any sports team in and around Charlotte, I want them to win because it's great for our community. A successful sports team here, Panthers, the Hornets, it don't matter. If they can win, it's great for everybody around. It just really changes how we feel about ourselves. Even surrounding communities way up here 30 minutes north of Charlotte are affected by that. You see more jerseys. You see more people smiling. And so it's great to have some, good positivity around the Hornets after this year. So, it was nice to be able to ask him some questions that he probably easily answered that were just, things that I was thinking of. I love doing this every now and then. We get to have somebody. We do a lot of racing. We talk a lot of racing, and it's nice every now and then to get out of that box and do something different. And I'm just really, really thankful that we got to do this. I'm thankful that he was gracious with his time, and we took him around and showed him the shop. I tried to give him a very speedy, brief tour because I know he's trying to get on to the next thing. But just a well-spoken, calm, easy to talk to kind of dude.
I think it's fun when we get non-NASCAR people in here, especially if they're around here, because now he might go back and talk to his friends about the sport, and it just kind of helps grow it. And
well, he's got an experience now that he can go back, and if we get Mello or somebody else to come on,
Yeah. I think he probably understood a little bit, but I get the sense he's a little introvert, so kind of at the beginning it's a little, like what's going on. But then once he got going,
I've seen some interviews
fun.
with him. I was sitting there thinking, man, this guy, I'm sitting here asking him all these questions, and he's probably going, dude, I'm 20. I don't really know yet, because I'm trying to dig in there, but he's just 20 years. Dude, when I was 20, I wasn't, I didn't have a whole lot of opinions or thoughts or no deep, purpose behind a lot of the things that were going on in my life. And his attitude of, I'm going to do my best job today, and then I'm going to try to do better tomorrow, and I'm just going to go that route. That was nice to hear, and that's a great approach. You could tell though, I was real hesitant to talk to him about the Rookie of the Year deal because, man, I was so disappointed how that worked out, and I wasn't sure whether it was a big disappointment for him or if it was not a big deal. The Rookie of the Year, it's imprinted on my mind as a big deal because it is a big deal in NASCAR, and maybe it is not such a big deal in other sports. Maybe it is, right? Maybe it. I don't know where it falls on the guys in the NBA truly give a shit, right? That you won the Rookie of the Year. I don't know, but it seemed like he truly did want to win it.
Yeah,
and it did seem like that he was disappointed that what he did and how the season he had didn't make it happen. I knew he would be complimentary to Flagg and look, nothing against Cooper. He's awesome and amazing. This is our guy. This is my guy. This is who I'm pulling for.
Yeah.
And he said, one of the things I thought he said is like that was telling about his emotion around it is a lot of other years I would have won it. And so it lets you know that he was kind of thinking it, man, he woke up in the morning, well, done all I could do. It's out of my hands. So that was frustrating, because you felt like that, damn, there was an opportunity there. I mean, he had, at one point, weeks before, he had it locked down.
Oh, he was the betting favorite.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
70-30 or something. And then his last 10 games, maybe longer, his last 12, 13 games, they weren't good, and he struggled. And I was hoping that we would get to the bottom of what he felt like his troubles were. I was wondering if he might say, I tweaked my back, and I was just a little tight. But he never really, because you were hearing rumors and stuff on the internet, all of us trying to like go, hey, wonder what it is. But he's like, hey, sometimes it's just not there. I thought the analogy of the golf swing would be something he could relate to, and that's kind of what he connected it to. Is like you're chasing your shot, you're kind of chasing your swing all the time. He's like sometimes it goes in even when it don't feel good, and you don't know why. It's so interesting. Like, man. You show up some nights. I was going to ask this. You'll show up some nights and LaMelo will shoot it from half court, 2 or 3 times in a night and make it go in like effortlessly. And then there's games where he never attempts one of those, not once. And you're thinking, man, he just must not That's something he must not have the confidence, or it doesn't feel like it's gonna.
Yeah,
he's just got in his head like, nah, I don't want to do it tonight because I don't know if doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's something just in you.
Something in you. Yeah.
Like I found it interesting talking about like how does a team get blown out? I found that fascinating.
I know, I did too.
Because as a fan, you're like, what?
We're all asking that question because in real time they had that game against the Heat where they went through multiple overtimes, and in our eyes, or in my mind, I'd sit in there I'd watch them play this season, and I'm thinking, you know what? We ought to be able to go in here and win by 15. You know, we're a better team. We're not, we're climbing through the rankings, and we almost had a shot at being a 5th or 6th seed, and we're a 5th or 6th seed. We're just not. We ran out of time. So this should be no problem.
Yeah.
And then they go and almost lose, almost win, almost lose, almost win, and finally pull it out all in the same game. Like he said, it was up and down, up and down. And you're thinking, damn, it's like everybody gets up for the playoffs. We beat the Celtics probably 2 months before the end of the regular season by 20. They would come back and beat us by 3 or 4, and you're sitting there thinking, damn, we handled the Celtics in Boston. How good are we? But it's like in NASCAR, everybody gets all their good off the shelf when the playoffs start, and you're going to see these teams again, and they ain't going to be the same. They ain't going to play the same. They're going to bring it. Every possession is going to matter, like he said, and that's just seemed to be kind of what they ran into. And they ended up getting
knocked
out by Orlando. But hey, it's exciting to be happy and looking forward to the draft, looking forward to who they're going to add, looking forward to what they may retain.
Finally, a positive offseason.
Yes.
And I think he brings a lot to the team, just like his mental attitude.
I will probably watch more intently next year than I did this year.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know
Same.
what I mean? Now I'm going to be like.
And once you meet someone on the team, you're like, ooh, I want to watch them more because now I feel like I know them a little bit.
Yeah. Like we got to, yeah. This was a lot of fun. I'm just thankful for it, and appreciate everybody sitting in and listening to Kon and the conversation. Young kid, 20 years old. He's got like a lot of players in the NBA, got the future ahead of him and a real opportunity to have a fantastic, entertaining, fun career. And hopefully he spends the majority of that in Charlotte because I like the dude. I hope y'all enjoyed it. So, yeah, that was the show. Make sure that you guys are going to Arby's, because Arby's has this new meat and 3 box. You get more meal for your money when you go to Arby's. And I've been enjoying this new relationship. The curly fries, the buffalo chicken sliders are fantastic. They've been a great partner, and they've been involved in NASCAR for a couple years now, and they're just so excited to be involved in the sport. And you see a lot of their engagement and stuff going on Saturday and Sunday, and just kind of cool to see Arby's and what they're doing.
I like it because it's an easy sponsor to support.
It is.
Just go get some curly fries and a milkshake. You're good to go.
That's right. They're the presenting partner sponsor for this episode today. And also, one thing I want to let y'all know before we wrap up, Fan Day. So Fan Day is coming May 21st here at Junior Motorsports, and we are going to be live on SiriusXM. Dirty Mo Media will be live on SiriusXM from 9 till 2 p.m. Larry Mack and Danielle Trotter are going to start off things with their show at 9 a.m. on the RB stage. At 11, Dirty Mo Live will kick off a show with Mike Davis, hosted as well with Kenny Wallace. They'll have some surprising guests come up on stage as well. At noon, Bless Your Heart with Amy and me, followed by Door Bumper Clear at 1 p.m., and they're going to have Jordan Bianchi on board. That'll be fun. Thursday, May 21st at Fan Day. There'll be so much to do out here. Not only can you check out all these live shows, you can try out some Jerky Boys, and there'll be a ton of, sponsor tents and services and free stuff and giveaways and whatevers. It's going to be fun. Autograph sessions. We're going to have a lot of good. We're going to have a lot of good fun on May 21st, Thursday at Junior Motorsports. Again, this episode presented to you by Arby's, new meat and 3 box. Get more meal for your money at Arby's. We have the meats. We'll see you tomorrow.